Yes, right. Otto Berg. I don't know. I don't know if that's even fair. I'm not sure, but I've been playing it for a long time. It does what I want to do. No, he did. I mean, he repadded it like right when I got it, like 14 years ago. Karen better than you. She just does. I mean, it's always just little. I have taken it to Kent. I don't know if you recognize that. That's his signature red little. So at one point I did, but not real often. It's usually Karen can usually get to me while I wait.
Hey guys. Hey, I don't know if you haven't heard. Okay, it's really cool to bring in all these great people into this what I call the corridor of Texas. Right, you know, from Dallas all the way down to San Antonio, right through I-35 corridor. It's a great people. This is one of them. He's in Austin. His name's Dan Bechtel. Did I say that correctly?
You did?
Dan is a great guy. Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Gravity, man. Gravity is be our enemy.
Dan spends a little bit of time on the road with a fantastic ensemble called Mingo for String. Before we get started, tell a little bit about your background,
Yeah.
you know, kind of where you went to school and
Yeah.
everything. And then we'll get into what you thought about today's concert and how
Sure.
they're youngins and they're hungry and we
Yeah.
work every day about 50 minutes right after lunch.
Man, that's awesome.
And that's what we do.
That's you guys are lucky that you get to do it that much, and you're lucky to have a director like Mr. Medina. He knows his business. All right, so yeah, so I grew up in Southern California, and I had I went to a great band program, and my band director was a phenomenal jazz saxophonist, and you know, I would sneak in. We had jazz band rehearsal at 6:25 a.m.
What?
Well, first period started at 7:35, but we were out of school by 2:30, so pretty nice. But so we were in there. Jazz band started at 6:30, but I would get there at 6. You know, and I was riding my bike, you know, uphill both ways, under machine gun fire, you know, all that stuff. Anyways, I literally would ride my bike with my alto on my handlebars and get there at 6 because my band director would be there playing Aerosols at 5:45 usually, and he'd be like, anybody who wants to, you know, come in and blow over some changes, I'll be here, and I was usually the only one that showed up, you know, and so that was I mean, he is actually a North Texas grad. And so, you know, he was there in the late 70s. He was in the 2 o'clock with Dan Higgins and all those guys. Anyway, so it was a great education to have that. And then I moved out to Denton to go to school because this guy was my idol and I wanted to go where he went. And so I went there and then got my jazz performance degree. And also, while I was there, formed the band leader and I formed funk band called Mingo Fish Trap, and that was 23 years ago, and we tour the world now and record, and we even do high school clinics occasionally. We'll come in and I'll bring horn charts and we'll blow over them. It's really fun. So anyways,
we need to talk, Dan. We need to talk.
Yeah, we'll talk
right
about
down the corridor there.
We'll talk about that. It's a little tough with half the band being in Nashville now, but you know, when they're in town, maybe we can make something happen.
So how does that work? When you get a call, how does the band get?
We fly and we just meet up.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, we're not talking rinky-dink here, guys. We're talking the big boys here.
Well, it was rinky-dink for a long time, guys. We were playing some pretty divey places and for no money, but you know, you keep at it and you make smart decisions and you don't make dumb ones. And you make it be about the music first, not about partying or chicks or, you know, you make it be about the music. Keep your focus on why you're doing it, and then next thing you know, 23 years have passed and you're flying to gigs on the weekends. Maybe, you know. There's a lot of silly luck that has to happen too, so. Anyway, so, yeah, you got, man, I was, the last band I clinicked about an hour and a half ago didn't have any saxophone, so I guess this is making up for it.
Nice.
So anyways, yeah, I think it's great. So this is your second band, right?
Yes.
So you could almost have 3 bands.
Yes.
Or at least one just saxophones. So I was really impressed with the amount of folks you had and how well you played together. Okay, it was great. Do you have your scores?
I do.
Okay. I'm having at this point in the day, I'm having a little bit hard time remembering what you played. When I see the scores, it'll bring all the memories back.
So this is day 2. How many bands? We had 49 in the first
49,
one.
yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's awesome. So main stem, that was the Ellington thing, right? Right off the bat. So, stylistically, I can tell you guys have done some listening. You know what I mean? Okay. So I'm sure, when you guys get a chart, you get an Ellington thing, I'm hoping that you are going straight to YouTube and looking for the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra's performance of this, okay? That's the best education you can get right there. I mean, I could sit here and I can tell you all day, hey, make this note longer, this note shorter, but really what it comes down to is you need to go home and listen actively. Not, and I said this I'm going to repeat what I said on the recording a lot, but has your mother ever said to you, you can hear me, but you're not listening, right?
The band director says that.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're going to hear that a lot because it's a bad habit that we have. Like, we're hearing things, but are we actively and are we listening with intention? That's different, and that's a skill that has to be acquired, okay? So great musicians, professional musicians, become professional musicians because they develop this ability. And when they're on the bandstand, they're listening to themselves, but they're listening to the hi-hat, they're listening to the clave, they're listening to the bass to see if they're in tune. They're listening to the person behind them to see if they're matching articulation and note lengths, okay? They're not just buried in their own world and hoping they play the notes right. They've gotten past that. So when you go home, you can practice this type of listening. So, and one of the things that helped me the most was to stop listening to saxophone players. So I'd go home and I'd put on, Count Basie thing, or an Ellington thing, and I'd listen to only the lead trumpet. I'd put it on and I'd listen straight through it, and I would just block out everything else, and it's hard to block out saxophones because, my ears go right there, and just listen to how is he phrasing, what are his note lengths, how much attack is he putting on the front of the note, and how much is he scooping into that one big long note, and can I do that on my instrument? Oh, apparently I can. Can I match that? Or, and the best is trombones, trying to do what a trombone can do, the old slush pump, right? It's tough to do it on this thing because it's got limitations. But, so that's what I'm talking about listening. So you go home and you do that, and you're gonna learn about style, and then you're gonna come in and you're gonna come to your band rehearsal and you're gonna naturally play better. But the other thing that you might notice is that you'll do that, you'll listen that way in rehearsal. You'll start listening that way in rehearsal. Just like if you go home and you practice a lick, okay, you practice that, and then, hey, a solo comes up and you got an F7, and you go, oh yeah, that's what I practiced 2 weeks ago. Well, if you practice listening well and with intention, you will start noticing that you're paying attention to other things in the band while the band's playing, like the hi-hat or the bass or the lead trumpet, okay? So it sounds like there's some of that going on, and I'm trying to remember your name, man. I want to call you Getz, but
Joseph.
Joseph, right? Joseph Getz, right? So I saw Destinado on the list. I was like, oh, and I saw your name on there. I'm like, all right, let's see what he's got. And man, from the first note you played, I was like, yeah, he's listening to Getz. You have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? The Jazz album.
Yeah, right. Did you how many times did you listen to Destinado?
Destinado, I think I did 3-4 times.
Yeah, did you play along with it at all?
I played along with it a couple of times.
Yeah, yeah. You want to listen to it 20 times and then start playing along with it. But it was like, yes, that made my day when I heard that. And it's not a flashy tune. It's not. But man, his tone, his vibrato, his dynamic, his attack, all the things that make it sound like Stan Getz, it would make it be his personal stamp. I heard right away, and it was super refreshing. So that's what we're talking about. Okay, you all speak English, right? That's how I said y'all. Y'all speak English, but so do people in London, but they sound different because they are influenced by what they hear, and you're influenced by, y'all are influenced by what you hear around here, you know? And so you're gonna be, just like in language, you're gonna be affected by music and sound too. So if you wanna be really good at this style of music, that's the deal, okay? One thing I wanna talk about, I don't know how much playing we're gonna do today. The big thing I talked about on the, because there was a lot of solos, which I loved. There was a lot of improvisation going on. And isn't that fun?
Yeah.
That's what, I mean, that's like the essence of jazz. Yes, thumbs up, for sure. So you all realize that you improvise on a constant basis, right? All day long you improvise. When you walk out of here, you're improvising your steps. You don't know exactly how you're gonna do it, but you know you're probably not gonna fall over or run over someone because you are aware, right? When you have a conversation, I'm improvising right now, basically. I have a few like bullet points in my head of concepts I want to talk to you about, but I don't know exactly how it's gonna come out. I hope it comes out sounding intelligent, but sometimes it doesn't. And I'm so dreaded to hear some of the judge tapes that I've done because I'm like mumbling and stumbling over myself, especially at this point in the day. But you know, you guys are improvisers already before you ever touch an instrument. It's something that is innately human. So obviously you have to have some knowledge of harmony, scales, tone production. I want to hit on one thing really big. And there were some solos that happened today that stuck with me. What's your name, man? William. He played my most favorite solo of the whole, of everybody. Do you know why? Okay. Did anybody remember his solo? Okay. Were you all listening? Were you? What tune was that on? Was it the last one, right? Mesa, the first one. And what tune the key is it? Yeah, it's like in D, right? It came in like on an A or something, and you just went, yeah, do you remember? Yeah, I remember, and you went, and we can go back to the recording, and this is an assignment that I'm gonna give you guys actually. But you did something like, something super simple and rhythmic and accurate and clear, and I was like, yes! I heard some other solos that were a little like flaily, you know, like, okay, I'm just gonna kind of just go for it, which is cool, but they weren't very clear. So one of the most important things that they made me do at North Texas, and it was extremely frustrating and humbling, was we'd walk into improv class on Monday, and we'd have these recorders, you know, like, it was right at the beginning of digital recording, like almost was doing this. Actually, my lessons were recorded on cassette tape. But I bought like like those Zoom recorder, digital recorder thing. I had something like that, but a 1990s version of it. And we would record our solos on Monday, and then they would make us walk in on Wednesday and provide a transcription of our own solo on Wednesday. In addition to a transcription of, let's say it was a Miles Davis tune, we had to transcribe piano solo too, of the master, you know, like Herbie Hancock or whoever it was. But we had to transcribe our own solos. And man, that's a huge eye-opener, because what do you think is the hardest thing about transcribing it? You all know what I mean by transcribing, right? Okay, writing it out, notating it. What do you think is probably the hardest thing about doing that?
Writing at your rhythm.
The rhythms. Why is it hard to write the rhythms out?
Because the way you play them is different from putting it on paper. It just seems different.
It shouldn't be, but it is. Well, because you're not playing good rhythms. You're rushing, you're dragging, you're flailing, you're just playing runs that don't really line up with the rhythm section, you guys were really solid. It's really hard to do that. And so it makes you, when you just have to write out your own solos, it makes you, when you're playing the solo and you're knowing that you're gonna have to transcribe it, it makes you be a little more thoughtful and aware of what you're playing, you know? Because you know you're gonna have to write it out. And you're like, I don't wanna make this too weird or out of time, because then it'll take me twice as long to write it down. So I think that everybody should transcribe his trombone solo. It was real short. It was like, like 8 bars. Yeah.
I wrote that down. That'll be.
Yeah, and like make it a assignment, and like you'll know, like, yeah, it's probably not going to take you too long, But if we gave a different solo, like a sloppier one, you'll know exactly what I mean, because it'd be really, really hard to write it down. So just something to think about. I talked about that a lot on the tape. So it'll make you play simpler. It'll make you stay within yourself. There's a concept of that where just playing what you can play. Don't try to do things that you don't know how to do yet. And it's really hard to do that. It's really hard because you want to go for things, and sometimes I go for things on gigs and it doesn't work out. Sometimes I go for things on gigs and it comes off good, but you just never know. But that's a huge thing, okay, as far as the whole concept of improvisation. You should be able to sing your solo. They made us sing all the Miles Davis solos on Kind of Blue. I don't know if you know that Miles Davis. Kind of Blue was the top-selling jazz album of all time for a long time. They made us learn to sing them all. Dwee-da-da, boo-ba-da-da-da. I can still sing that one, sort of. Anybody recognize what I just sang? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah? What was it? What tune was that on?
I don't remember that.
Yes. So what? Very good. So it still sticks with me today. And I think that was even in the right key. So, yeah. Go. All right. So that is ingrained in my psyche until the day I die. Okay. Hey, we all die. It's cool. So, anyways, yeah. So that's what we're talking about. You have to internalize this music in a way that you're not asked to do. Like in wind ensemble, did you guys memorize your music? No. Yeah. That's okay. You don't have to. In jazz, that happens a lot more. There's an old story about Johnny Hodges, the lead alto player for the Duke Ellington Orchestra. Turns out he wasn't a great reader, apparently. But he was an amazing player, and he memorized, and he would just keep his folder under his chair. He didn't even have it on the stand. And he just played he played every night just from memory, because it was just easier for him. And he probably played better too, because he wasn't having to use his eyeballs. He was able to use his. When you don't use your eyeballs, your ears get bigger. So, anyways, okay, so let's play a little bit. How are we doing on time?
Like 10 minutes.
Okay. Anything, I kind of want to do the main stem, I think. So, other things, you guys were doing it pretty well, but I want you guys to really get into more of shaping phrases. So, kind of a golden rule is if you're playing a note that's longer than a quarter note, you need to do something with that note dynamically. Okay, so the kind of standard thing to do is to sforzando and then crescendo. All right, so I'm looking at the trombone, one part right at the top of the tune. Yeah. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 9. Right? B, D, right? 2, 3. That's how you should play that. Not same note, same rhythm, but different energy level. It creates more energy when you, and that goes for everybody. Anytime you have a figure like that, you never want to just sit on the note and just play it like a block of sound. Now that's a big difference between jazz band and wind ensemble. You're not going to do that in wind ensemble, unless it says to. But in jazz, it won't say to do that, and you're expected to do it. Make sense? All right, so let's take it from the top. This is all right? 208-ish. Okay. Everybody ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, right, go. More. Way more. It's not coming through. You're doing it, but it's not enough. When you're doing it right, it's going to feel like you're totally overdoing it. Okay, here we go. Let me just hear the trombones. A little hard. Maybe, to be fair, maybe I'm getting bombarded with saxophone and I'm not hearing it. But, you know, even still, that might mean you have to do it more. You know? Here we go. 1, 2, bones. 1, 2, ready, go. With rhythm section, sorry. 1, 2. 1, 2, top, go. 4. Okay, so first of all, you guys are coming in on the downbeat of 2. So you gotta do what we call play the rest, right? What does play the rest mean?
Activate yourself.
Turn on your counter. During when you're not. The worst is when I say, so what do you I ask the student, what are you thinking about during that rest? Nothing. Uh-oh. Like, no! You're thinking, 1 and 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, da. Okay? You're never not doing something. You're always counting. You're always counting. Or you're counting and playing. Here we go. Okay? I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here. I can tell Mr. Medina is like, yes.
Amen, brother.
Yes. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Ready to go. Okay, still wait on that. So when I'm counting you off, what are you doing?
Breathing.
What? Well, yeah. Or no sound comes out of your instrument. What else are you doing though? Should be subdividing. Subdividing and counting can be thought of as 2 different things. To me, subdividing is, I mean, I'm giving you half notes here, right? So, you know, you're not just waiting to come in. You're you're preparing yourself rhythmically for that entrance. Okay? Let's do it again. Yeah, this is big. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Ready to go. 2, 3, 4. 1. More swell. Hey, I'm sorry to harp on this, but we gotta do that again. Man, can you help them out a little bit? Like maybe comp on the snare, like do like a 4, 1, 5, that. You can help them out. Sometimes as horn players we need help, and you guys can help us out a lot. It's so funny. Most of the big band playing I do, I'm sight reading on the gigs because I'm not actually officially a member of a band because I'm on the road a lot. But so whenever I sit in with a band, I'm sight reading, and man, it helps so much when the drummer helps set up figures. It helps me read better because sometimes I get lazy with my counting too. So yeah. So yeah, you can help them out a little bit. Here we go. 1, 2. 1, 2. Ready to go. So that goes. And I know I'm picking on the trombones right now, but at some point, every section has a figure like that. Okay. So again. 2.
Okay.
Let me play that with the rhythm section real quick. 1, 2, just me. Sorry.
No kid.
1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3.
Because we know we're in the same later on.
Okay. Hear that? See how much energy I'm putting into that?
Of course.
That. 2, 3, 4. You guys you're so late on it, like you're changing the completely changing the rhythm. So. Okay, that's a very important part. I think sometimes we don't play it with intensity because we don't think it's important, but every part is important or they wouldn't have written it. Yeah.
Almost that tight.
Okay. So I don't know.
This is the deceptively difficult chart, isn't it?
Yeah.
It looks really simple,
Yeah.
but it's
The tempo. I mean, the tempo it creates. You have to be on your game. You can't let your focus drift. And when does the focus generally drift? There's 2 times when you're playing music, where your focus drifts. Rests and long notes. Yeah.
There you go.
So, and probably what that means is when you're playing 8th notes, you're probably not counting either. But we tend to get away with that when we're playing 8th notes because that's the subdivision. So you're kind of playing the subdivision, so that's kind of naturally helping you. I'm using air quotes again, count. But you get exposed when there's a rest or a long note. That's when we notice you're not counting. All right, so Okay, good. Let's just play. We're all here. Let's just play. We got like a couple minutes. Let's just run it. Just because we're here. Let's play music. Try to think about these things.
Big sound, new room.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Send your sound to the farthest point away from you in this room. Okay? Like, don't play into your stand. I think I talked about the trombones. You guys were kind of down a little bit, playing down. Trumpets were okay, I believe. But make sure your bells are up.
If we can't see your bell, we can't hear your sound.
Right. And I can hear you, but I hear you, but I don't really hear you. I don't hear the resonance of your tone, the life. It sounds like, you can hear what I'm saying, but it just sounds like that. Right. Now, if I uncover my mouth, you can hear me a lot better, clearly, right? Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 'This, and I know you're not all sax players too, so that's another issue. But the sax players, if you can, jazz mouthpieces and reeds make a big difference. Okay, so the sound that you're making will have, when you have the correct setup, it'll give you a lot more dynamic range. The analogy that I use all the time is that playing jazz on a classical mouthpiece is like playing basketball in dress shoes. You can do it, but it's really uncomfortable and awkward, but it can be done. But that's why they make basketball shoes. They make basketball shoes for playing basketball. Okay? And so jazz mouthpieces give you more flexibility, more range, more you can pop those, that line you guys are playing. That one, that F. So that high note, you hear how much more loud, like much louder that note is compared to all the other notes. It's so much easier to do that on. Oh gosh, you were talking about blues and D. What's the deal with that, right? So there's no way I could do that on my jazz mouthpiece. I mean, on my C star, my classical mouthpiece. I could try, and I would hate every moment of it. Okay, it just, I have this concept in my ear of what I want to sound like. Okay, and so the equipment helps. It does. It's not everything, but it helps. Okay, so
If,
Alright.
if they have any questions or if they want to follow you,
Yeah.
where can they catch you? MingoFishTrap.com? What do you got? Dan at MingoFishTrap? What do you got?
Yeah, well, that's my email address, dan@mingofishtrap.com.
You got to check out
Yeah.
the band Mingo,
Yeah.
M-I-N-G-O, Fish Trap. I'm not kidding you. They hooked me almost 20 years ago. I've known these guys forever.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
And you're in the Austin area, right?
Yep, Round Rock area, north side, so. You all, hey, it was a pleasure working with you guys and hearing you all today, so. Thank you.
Dan, yeah.
All right, good seeing you, Sam.